Is that a good thing for you or a bad thing for you?
Are you kidding me? That would change everything. You never are going to strike out on a set of irons with somebody.
No.
You're never going to struggle to find what you need performance wise and tick all the look boxes. And look, there's guys that come into me and they're like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm here for it to perform better. But there are little nuances of a club. They look at the toe of a Mizuno or a toe of a Titleist, and they're like, I prefer this look. I like this. Ooh, they always say it when you hand it to them, like, oh, this. Yeah, I really like this. And then you see how they can actually make better contact based on the shapes that they like.
Okay. The big pod. Finally, after some chaos. Episode 324 of Fully Equipped podcast. I wish you guys could see what was happening in my house, in my kitchen. About 30 seconds ago, we had chihuahuas and kids and my beautiful girl, Jordan, wrangling monkeys. But we are here, and we have a special guest, my dear friend, my consigliere, Mr. Bryan LaRoche of at Bryan Golf. Bryan, welcome to the pod.
Filling in for Big Jakey, man. I think you said it. These are big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. The kid, I gotta say, we were both friends with him before he started here, and the kid's killing it. The kid's knocking it out of the park. So, he is missed. He's missed, and we will say that. But he's out doing some big stuff over in Jacksonville, and oddly enough, he's at the Callaway shoot, which I had been out for 4 years in a row. He went and did the Callaway shoot this year. And I got some calls from the Callaway people that said he knocked it out of the park. So, way to go, Jake. The old man is
anything less.
No, the old man has retired from that game, and we're totally fine being here at home with my kids and my girl, and that's a kids game now. Anyway,
we're good.
Where do we start? I mean, where do we even start?
Well, I've seen and heard every podcast y'all talking about Battle at the Beach. And so, I mean, how do we not just start right there? I'm shocked that I'm sad and I'm shocked that, we're going to have our conversation tonight, and then Jake and I are having lunch tomorrow, and I know we're going to talk about it. So it's like, I'm going to talk about it twice. And I wish it was all three of us here doing this. It's going to be weird doing this without him.
It is, but I don't think, I have so many thoughts on Battle of the Beach. Like, I have so many thoughts, great, amazing thoughts. I have one really dark one, but I have 99 amazing ones.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But let's get into it. It's an equipment podcast, so we're gonna first talk about equipment a little bit here. We both had some new whips out there. You had a Callaway driver that you hit very, very well, and I was hitting the QI4D. So let's do this back and forth just to start the show, because we get a lot of questions on those drivers, right? You're a fitter in Jack's Beach or at Fleming Island, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville, outside of Jacksonville, Fleming Island.
Okay. So let me give my synopsis of how you drove the ball, because that was the newest piece of equipment you had in your bag, was your Triple Diamond. It was, and I'm trying to be fair to years past, because you've had some really great driving years. I will say it was the most consistent that you've driven the ball as far as ball flight and whatever. Like, when you wanted to mash one, put it this way, when you wanted to hit one hard, your miss was the same. When you had to thread the needle and just hit a fairway, your good ones look the same and your bad ones look the same, right? So to me, that's the mark of a good driver. You had a driver with one shot and one miss. From a ball speed perspective, I mean, you hit a couple of drives that were absolute nuke burgers. But what I think I liked the most is that you had full send with it, and you had your chess, the chess player driver at the same time. I go back to the drive that you hit on one in alternate shot?
Yeah.
Or was it the scramble? You hit one on, we both, I think maybe it was the scramble. You hit an absolute, we had like 65 yards, and the wind was blowing kind of in from the left, and you hit an absolute flighted, kind of hard cut, not even a cut, like a straight ball that fell right. And I remember sitting there and just going, he didn't have that shot before. Like the big hard cuts that he would hit in the past would start straight and fall left. This one started slightly left and kind of fell to the right, and it just absolutely vaporized through the wind. So I would say, if I was going to grade your driver, your one new stick in the bag, I would give it a hard, like an A minus, literally an A minus. The only reason I wouldn't give it like an A or an A plus is because you didn't hit every fairway.
Right, every so often, and it's tough. It's tough to hit fairways in the wind, obviously. Especially, we had a weird wind. It wasn't like 9 and 18 at Hammock Beach. A lot of times, those are either into the wind or downwind. We had a lot of crosswind this go round, and that did make it very difficult. There were times where it's hard when you got that left to right wind, and your ball is probably going to end up going right anyways. At least for me, that's what it was doing. It was tough to aim left enough sometimes, just for the wind, knowing I wasn't going to hit any draws against the wind. I'll tell you that much. I didn't trust that shape that much. But, man, for the most part, it's funny and I would agree with the A minus. I really would. I lost a few drives to the right, and that was enough to piss me off. We reconvened after the tournament and on a new head, and I hit 1,000 golf balls in the past 24 hours. So that's probably a go, by the way.
But really quick, to be fair to the situation, the ones that you missed like that were the drives that you were going full send on. So you are risking that. Like on 18, for example, in the playoff, the one that you hit to the right was the wind blowing left to right. You were trying to absolutely gas it down there. And it's a fine line between catching it, squaring it up, and having that right miss. I mean, it's like you're on the razor's edge, and there isn't a driver on the planet that's going to mitigate that.
Fair enough.
That's on you. That's not on the golf club.
So with that being said, there's two drives. Now you mentioned number one. I don't remember if it was scramble or alt shots, but the most impressive part about that drive, Johnny, was that I think it was one of the ones that you just started left and it stayed left. And we were boned. I had to hit that drive.
Right.
Like I had to hit a good drive. And then there's this hole out there. If anyone's ever played it, it's one of the inland holes, and we always do a shotgun start. So it's easy for someone like you to get them all mixed up. For me, I know them like the back of my hand. Number 4 is that tight driving hole that we birdied in Scramble when we hit it to like 3 feet. But the day before, I think in alt shot, I don't remember if you were in the bunker or something to the right, and I had to hit an absolute fairway finder cut. And
yes, I was in the bunker. Yeah, I was in the bunker.
The fact that I could do that with that driver that's why that thing made the bag. Because I was 100% Cobra Optim LS 2.5 weeks ago, 100%.
Right.
And then something about me said, man, you haven't really hit Quantum TD since you got him in. I mean, I tested him a little bit, but not. I was so committed to the Cobra and finding the right driver and for Battle at the Beach, obviously, and the fact that I was able to kind of come into that Quantum at the last second, it was a good find for me.
Well, do you know what's funny? Like people will ask, and I've had a lot of people ask me, like, how come you didn't end up in like Triple Diamond or Triple Diamond Max? And the real reason is because I can't make. Because you've seen my golf swing. I mean, anybody that follows me, sees my golf swing. I aim it. I basically aim right and pull it back online. You know what I mean? That's kind of my game. And I'll be honest, like I've probably played that way for 30 years. I've always aimed a little right, come over the top, and kind of either hit a pull draw or, get underneath it, and I can hit a push draw sometimes. But for the most part, I either hit it pretty straight or kind of pull it. And that was the only driver it was possible to make that way, that I could literally aim it a little right, swing out to the right, and the ball would start right or start straight and turn over every time, even if I missed it. Like how many times this week that you can count did I start a ball right and it kept going right?
Not one.
Not one shot.
Not one. Can I give
shot.
Can we go ahead and say right now A+ for your driver?
100%. Like I can't.
The best I've ever not just the good balls, but the misses. I mean, we were in it because of your driver, because it opened up everything for us, because you were just, I mean, you maybe missed in 54 holes, you missed
10
maybe,
drives, eight
yeah.
8 or 9 drives. I
I was
mean,
going to say
and they were,
less than 10,
yeah,
less than 10.
which the real bad one was still in play, which is the one I hit on 18 in alternate shot, which I hit
Correct.
like hosel shaft, and we still made 4. That's because you hit
Yeah.
the greatest 2-iron in the history of the Battle of the Beach. But it does come to, like, and it has to be said, because for the consumers that are listening to this podcast, and this is why I've always said it is kind of a fitting war, because you could go into Bryan Golf, for example, and this is where it's on the consumer to really understand what they want, what they're capable of, and what tool is going to help them get there. I don't want to miss it right, and I want to hit kind of a pull draw. And a good fitter will go, okay, well, I have 2 tools that do that, and I can make this one super dry, or I can make this one go straight and not go right. So when I went to TaylorMade and worked with Adrian, he goes, you have an 8-degree head that just goes straight, that doesn't go right, and you have a 9-degree head that's at 8.5 that doesn't go right but draws. And the 9-degree head is the one I ended up using. And that's the only driver that I know that I've tested, because numbers wise, they're all the same. They're all the same.
Yeah.
They all go the same ball speed. They all do this. It literally comes down to that one thing. Is I know that there's that one driver that I could swing out. I almost fucking choke myself. That I can aim right, swing out to the right, and the ball just goes. And no matter how far out to the right, if my face doesn't get open, I'm not going to block it right. My miss is going to be 100 yards left, which it was. All my bad misses were that way, left.
Yeah.
And if I hit it off the heel, it's still going to spin and still hit the fairway. That's very hard to replicate. It's very hard to replicate.
When you hit it off the heel, what was great about that was the heel shot would start left enough to allow it to cut a little bit and just end up right center of the fairway at worst. It was truly unbelievable. Like, I could kiss Adrian. I've never met him. I could kiss him for building that driver up for you when he did.
Well, and the last thing I'll say on the whole topic is, from a ball speed perspective, ball speed retention, my misses usually in Battle of the Beach, especially like the last 4 or 5 years, dude, I've been like 40 yards behind you. Like, if you gas one and I hit one good, I'm 30 yards behind you. This year, if I smash one and you smash one, it's like 15 yards, 10 yards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah, and you swing it, I swing at 110, 111, you swing at 122, 123, but like the launch conditions are so good off of that driver that I'm getting 116, 117 swing speed performance out of a 111, 112 swing. And that's the mark of a good driver. A good driver for that player.
Well, I said if I see you the next time I see you and that driver's not in the bag, gonna have problems.
Well, yeah, I already ordered a backup, and the funny thing is, like, if I'm looking ahead, I don't know what more I could ask of a driver. I don't know. Like, now, is there a world where my golf swing gets way different, shape gets different, this and that, blah blah blah, and I just need a different tool to match the way I'm swinging it? But if all else being equal, if I stay the way that I am, then that driver's kind of a no-brainer. So let's go. Let's pivot topics here really quick. So,
can we pivot to? I'm sorry, I keep looking down. There's 3 minutes left. Bam Adebayo's got 77 points.
Are you kidding me right now?
This is wild. He's going to go after Kobe. That's what he's doing. So anyway,
hold on. Sorry, hold on. I'm just sorry. I have to go on my little app here and just look at.
I'm not even a Heat guy, but here I am. Heat Wizards. They're up by 25 with 3 minutes to go against the Wizards, and Bam Adebayo still. I think they just took him out of the game, unless there's a timeout. No, there's a challenge. So who knows, man? Who knows?
He's He's 30 for 37 on the free throw
Correct.
from the free throw line.
That's like what Wilt, when he had 100 points, this 100-point game that is allegedly the most points ever scored. I'm kidding. I'm assuming that he really did actually score 100 points. That's what his stat line was like. He had something like 36 free throws or something. I have no idea.
That was kind of like
But
our last. That was kind of like our last 9 holes at Battle of the Beach.
oh, see, that's what I can't wait to talk about. I can't wait to talk about first 27 holes versus last 27 holes.
Okay, but we are
But
going to
I
talk
know we
about
need to talk equipment.
we're going to talk. We have a couple more equipment topics to cover.
Yep.
And one of them is actually pretty interesting. This first thing I want to talk. So you're in the first quarter of the year at Bryan Golf. So you have all the new product in your shop.
Yep.
Of the things that you have been fitting with, so you fit, Callaway stuff and TaylorMade stuff and Ping stuff and this and that. Like, what's been the, I don't know, what's been the popular driver so
The
far?
winner, Callaway, across
Callaway.
the board though. Yeah, I would say this is the first year in a while, not just with Callaway, but with any company where legitimately every one of their drivers is fitting players and outperforming other drivers in the bay. And it's not just a ball. So I'm not ball speed's got to be the highest. That's your driver. Spin's got to be this. Launch got to be this. I'm a which one is going to make you score better on the golf course? Like what driver is producing the ball flight that's going to, take you from shooting 95 and turn you into somebody that shoots 85? So I'm looking at it from that. The Max D, the Triple Diamond, and the Triple Diamond Max are 1, 2, 3 for Callaway. And then we get the Max here and there, the core model, which is their best, I think, core model as long as I've been fitting, for the last 8, 9, 10 years. So maybe Epic, the first Epic core model was pretty good. But man, I don't know. I don't know if anything. Cobra's been the surprise, and I don't think anyone that is in the industry is surprised by that. But it's right there. TaylorMade's phenomenal. There's so many strings you can pull on those TaylorMade drivers. You've got to really spend a lot of time with them. And if somebody's not married to it and I'm seeing performance in something else, I'm moving on in an hour and a half driver fitting,
See, I'm curious what you'll say to this, but so we first got introduced to QI4D in October of last year. It was the first time that I heard about it, saw it, touched it, whatever. And I remember I'm like, okay, you're giving them the FCT sleeve and you're giving them 4 weights to move around, which is a lot of weight. If you give any seasoned fitter 4 levers to pull on a driver, it's awesome for the fitter if they know what they're doing. So my statement was, this is going to be awesome if you get your tour fitters out to True Spec and Club Champion and all these places to show the fitters exactly how to crack these things open. It's like when you buy a real expensive bottle of wine, or a good sommelier will show you how to open the bottle of wine to make it the experience what it is. So I'm curious, like truth be told, when I was in my first TaylorMade fitting for QI4D, I struggled to find the face. I mean, really struggled to find the face, right? And finally, they got me in a decent place where the numbers were good enough, right? I just could, but Charles Howe was the same way. Couldn't find the face. Like, we went through this whole video, and it was like, I like it, I really want to like it, but I can't mash it. Like, I just can't find that strike. And the funny thing is, every single person that I have told, and this goes to Charles, this goes to like Jason Kidd, who I've sent a QI40 to, Seth Curry, everybody I've said, put it in upright, put the driver in upright, just do it and see if that gets you in a good spot. Every single person has put it in upright and go, oh wow, this is a completely different driver. Like, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's like, that seems to be the first click on the we're performance thing that you have to click. Like, it has to be like an upright, and once you put it in upright, then you can start screwing the weights, because something about the way that the head's shaped, whether it's the lie angle, I don't know, but like, the moment everybody's put those things in upright, regardless of whether you need upright lie angle or not, that driver seems to start humming.
Yeah.
And then at that
Yeah.
point, it's moving the levers around with the weights to get the ball flight tuned in. But to get it on the face, if you're a decent player, most players are putting it in upright, is what I'm seeing.
Well,
So
TaylorMade drivers, I always have to put in upright. Like I always start in upright because the standard position is pretty flat.
Pretty flat.
So, and normally like a 9-degree TaylorMade driver, I want it at 9 degree. I don't want it at, anything down or anything up.
Right.
They don't have my favorite sleeve, right? It's just not my favorite sleeve at this point. I'll be really interested to see if they innovate that down the road. But I always start out in upright. So it's funny you say that. So that is where I hit it best. But where I'm more actually looking forward to diving in with the QI4D is to kind of toss out the 9-degree and 40 or 9 gram and 4 gram weights that come with it, and just start mix matching the weights and just try and dial that in. Whether it's 9, 7, 5, 7, I have no idea, but just getting it where it needs to go with more than just the weights provided, because we've got the weight kits and everything like that, and I think you need those to get it right.
Did they explain to you what with like your local rep, like when you got your QI40 drivers, did they explain to you that there is sort of a metric that you have to follow with heel weighting and toe weighting, where it's got to be, to really make, okay. So I didn't know this either. Because you have 4 weights, you're like, I'm going to put a little bit out on the toe and a little bit in the heel, and there's no little bit on that driver. It's either all the way one way or all the way the other way. So if you want to make it fade biased, you have to put a 10 out on the toe and a 10 out on the back toe and the 2 in the heel. Like it's got to be like 6 to 8 grams of separation to make it biased. Which
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's actually like it's how it is with every driver. But you would think this normal gearheads would be like, I'm just, I'm going to put a little bit of lead tape out here and a little bit of hot melt here, blah, 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 blah. But like in reality, like you have to overload that thing to get it to be biased in any way, shape, or form. So like, and I didn't know this. Like I didn't, like, coming from Callaway, we had heads that you could put a little bit here and a little bit there, and it would do its thing, right? It would, and I don't know if that's this Callaway driver, but I recall having, I remember Paradigm, for example, like if you wanted to, like the Paradigm core head, for example, if you moved a little bit of weight, that back weight, if you moved it a little bit towards the toe, it made it pretty fade biased. And if you moved it all the way out, it made it really fade biased, right? Where this QI4D, you can't do that. You can't move a little bit of weight out here and a little bit of weight over there. It's still neutral. Like you have to fucking overload that thing one way or the other. Which, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I was just curious if they actually told you how that worked, but it's a real thing.
No, but that's maybe some reps are doing that somewhere. My TaylorMade rep is transitioning out. I don't technically have a local guy, but
he's got short
frankly,
timers.
like I hate to say this, but normally it's like that skit. I think it's in The Office, and he's at Home Depot, and the guy's like, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" He just goes, "I know more than you."
Yeah,
like that's kind of what it's like in that situation, but. I didn't know that specifically, but I can tell you that makes a shit ton of sense. So with that being said, I'm on board with that.
Hey, really quick, just for an update, your guy has 81.
81 points. Holy crap. Wait, did Kobe have 81 or 82? I think he had 81.
81.
They got to sub him out. Bam can't he can't take Kobe.
No.
I don't like that.
So back to your, so Callaway's been the biggest seller. What about what about if we start looking at like best sellers? And I'm going to throw a couple of brands at you and you tell me how successful they were. How do Strixon irons do in your shop?
Not like what you heard online, like the savior of all, irons out there.
Because I know at True Spec they kill. At True Spec they kill.
Good irons. No, it's not that it's not that. They're great irons, but it's not the top seller in.
What is your top seller?
Ever since the new T series has come
Yeah.
out, the T series has definitely been our top seller, without a doubt. P790's up there. It's just
Hmm.
really good. Really, when you say top seller, those are the T series and the P790 are going to be the first that come to mind.
Okay.
Like the T100, if you're going to call it a cavity back iron, like that's our number one sold cavity back iron for sure. But then if you're
Okay.
going to go into those players distance irons, T250 gets in there too because it just goes so high, and that's just such an advantage. More players than not, I guess on the opposite end of it, more players come in that need height more than they do, need in the drop.
It
Another one
is.
that's been really good since it just came out is the Mizuno M15. That one's awesome.
See, that's it. It was funny. Is like, and I followed Mizuno pretty closely when I was at WRX.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't. Jack and Jake know a lot about Mizuno stuff. And even when I was at WRX, Barath was kind of like the Mizuno guy.
Yeah.
I've never like it's as much as I want to follow that brand, and I just don't. I don't know every nuance of their brand. I know they come out with new irons. I look at them, those are cool, this and that. But like for whatever reason, I just don't. I don't dig in on the Mizuno thing because there's always somebody that I work with that like is a Mizuno head that kind of takes
Like,
care
oh,
of
they
it.
got that. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take care of that because it's a whole genre. Like the Mizuno Japanese. I even take Strixon out of the Japanese conversation because Strixon's so mainstream. But like the Mizuno conversation, like it's like Miura. It's like you're a Mizuno guy or you're a Miura guy, and it's like this whole
Yeah.
subculture of human beings that are like, I
For
don't,
sure.
yeah,
You should see people in the Bay, man. People in the Bay, they get giddy when they get to hit a Mizuno, and it's because of the reputation. Everyone's like, the Mizuno feel, right? And they're just like,
right.
oh my god, I can't wait this is one I wanted to hit, and so
But
they're hitting it.
but really quick, sorry to interrupt you, but don't you think that everybody's kind of matched the Mizuno feel? Like, don't they all kind of feel
Yes,
good? Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what's funny about it. And some people just they got things. There's ping guys, there's Titleist guys, there's Mizuno guys. So it's just kind of it's the way of the golfer. The best thing I've ever done is when I started getting into the non-bias fitting and just kind of fitting all brands. I've gotten rid of any kind of notion that I've ever had about a brand. I just don't even think about them like that. I hit them. I go, this feels good. It performs good. Awesome. Great job.
well, yeah. It's like, I have matured quite a bit. I can even say I've matured probably over the last 18 months as it relates to my bag. Because when I was at Callaway, it was like I want the X Forged. Whatever hit the truck.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter
Yes.
whether it was
Yeah.
right for me or not. I just wanted it, right? Triple Diamond T, I'll take that. I want those irons. I want this, and but that was my job, is to understand everything. But for my own game, it was kind of like I'm going to make this work. I'm going to try it, this and that. And then I got to say, man, like this Cobra 3D project that they're on right now. Did I iron it really well at Battle of the Beach? Not really. But did I have confidence in my iron game?
You did iron it the best you've ever ironed it at
Right.
Battle at the Beach.
Right, but I obviously know the difference between me ironing it really well versus me like hitting a bunch of good shots, which I did. But
Yeah.
like I couldn't, again, like my driver, I can't ask any more out of an iron. Meaning, like
Mm-hmm.
if when I hit good shots, like if I made a good swing, I got a good result, and
Yep.
it was also a result that I understood. And what I said to Jake, we were sitting there, we were kind of going through all the irons because I was close. Like I really like the Strixons. I thought those are good irons for me. I really like T100 and T150. There's a Titleist set that I really like. X Forge Max, the Callaways, I think are awesome irons.
Those are awesome for so many players, man.
Yeah, to the point where like I would probably those would be the next iron I would probably go to if it wasn't
Those
these
irons
3D Ps.
make a lot of sense for you just knowing what you played in the past, even the smaller irons. But
Mm-hmm.
you and your 3DPs right now, and I know you've got 3DP Tour and then what your 5 irons, the X.
Which is the greatest 5-iron I've ever had in my life. Like, oh my
That
god.
thing is there. There are a couple golf clubs that are being framed in the Battle at the Beach Hall of Fame whenever we make that, and
Yeah.
before our time is done, I'm gonna have that golf club on the wall somewhere.
Yes, and we're gonna get into it and explain why here pretty shortly.
Holy shit!
But here's the
But
thing.
but yeah, those X Forge Max make so much sense for so many players. They're really cool, and they feel. I'm not saying you need
Amazing.
to go get an X Forge, which might be the best feeling iron, and an X Forge Max, blend that set. I'm not saying you need to do that, but man, the feel of them you could, because they're
Yeah.
seamless
That X Forge Max is it's a total Johnny Wunder iron. Like it checks off every
for sure.
box for me. It's but what I'll say, like, and this is where, I'll go back to like fully fit. Like I was pretty stoked on you fed beans for lunch and Indian for dinner. I did. Sorry, my girl's in bed with my kids, and she said you fed them beans for lunch and Indian for dinner. Thanks a lot. They're probably just farting her up right now. The, don't cut that out. So, but here's the thing. Like, and this is why I think what Cobra's on to, if they can continue, and this is the thing that I gotta say about Cobra, because you're close to Cobra, I'm close to Cobra. I'm talking about the human beings that work at Cobra. They always get on these great ideas, and they always get up the river, and they don't take it all the way. And like this 3D thing that they're on right now, I hope that they allow Ben Showman and the tour team to guide the marketing and the strategy around this, because the reason why the 3D, I was really close on a set of 770s, because 770 is another great iron for me, right? Just right in the pocket. The only reason I didn't pick the 770s is because I can't make them with offset, right? I don't want to bend them any stronger. I can't build offset into those things. But I'm getting the same performance out of the 3DP tours. And all I said to Ben was like, can you make these with offset? He's like, yeah, I have a set with offset. And literally handed me a set with offset. And I was like, and he's like, and he literally goes, now, if you want more offset or shorter heel to toe and more offset, just let me know. He's like, you played TCBs in the past, like those that were shorter heel to toe and with even more offset than these. If you want like a set that looks like a TCB, like, no problem. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, we just type it in the computer and it poops it out and we'll send you your irons. And I was like, he's like, you want like a V sole or a tri-level sole? Like, you want some different bounce options? No problem. I'm like, is this real? He's like, I'm like, so why would I ever buy another iron? Why would I ever want another iron? I can just make whatever I just want. You can just make. He's like, yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you compete with that?
We need that. I don't care how much that costs. People would pay for that.
Well, yeah. So my question to you is, like, as a fitter, if you had, and this is where it gets so interesting, the way that the market's going with stuff like 3DP. If you had an iron where you could fit somebody, and you go, hey, what kind of irons do you like? And you're like, I want them to be this, fast north to south, and I kind of like the way that the Callaway looks, but I also like the offset of the ping and blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay, Cobra can make all that for you. Like, okay, let's just hit a couple of these, and you just tell me what you want. And what would that do for? Is that a good thing for you or a bad thing for you?
Are you kidding me? That would change everything. You never are going to strike out on a set of irons with somebody.
No.
You're never gonna struggle to find what you need performance wise and tick all the look boxes. And look, there's guys that come into me and they're like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm here for it to perform better. But there are little nuances of a club. They look at the toe of a Mizuno or a toe of a Titleist, and like, I prefer this look. I like this. Ooh, they always say it when you hand it to them, like, oh, this, yeah, I really like this. And then you see how they can actually make better contact based on the shapes that they like.
Right.
So and not to bring or change the subject in a sense of like bringing in another brand, because I don't fully understand forward golf. I know that there's, I've had a lot of players that do their little fitting thing and then come to me and are like, hey, can you build me a set of Ping I-240s? This is what my forward golf fitting, said I needed. Right. And so they do that. So I think it's somewhat along the lines of that, but there's only going to be so many fitters, and it's obviously going to start with Cobra, that are going to have that trust from the company that are going to be able to actually do that and pull that off properly without, going crazy, taking advantage and then pissing everybody off. Like, oh, well, this guy wants, he wants 18 grooves, not 17 grooves, like things like that. Like it's going to get to that. But nonetheless, it would be really cool if how, Cleveland and, Titleist, they have like their custom grinds and you can do anything. If you want some toe relief, you want some heel relief, you want a blunted leading edge, you can do that. If we could just have something that we could go, man, this guy hits this iron, this 3D piece so good, but let's give him a little bit of a blunted leading edge, or let's just like take a little off the trail edge. See if we could just select from a menu, dude, change lives.
Well, let me ask you this. So if you like, I'm a big advocate for turf interaction, right? I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
world where higher handicaps actually should, because of how they get the club into the turf. I think there is a world where a higher handicapper would benefit more from like a blade because it gets into the turf more so than they would benefit from like a super game improvement iron, because super game improvement irons, although they have all the beef and all the real estate and all the things that make the ball go up and go
Mm-hmm.
far, they can't get the club in the ground. So it's kind of like they're hitting driver off the deck all day. Where do you
Yeah.
where do you and it's like a real thing, right? It's a real, I've seen it.
Well,
Where do you
um,
sit on that? Like how important is turf interaction for you?
well, it's kind of. I mean, like when you're in the fitting bay and you're in a fitting, you're hearing contact and turf interaction, especially off like the fight. We use a fiber built mat, which I've worked on a lot of different mats. I really like. I've gotten used to the sound of our mat and how people kind of interact with the turf and kind of correlate that to good strike indoors versus would that be a good strike outdoors and vice versa on the bad strikes. It's everything. And to your point, decent golfer, it's really hard for you to give me like a QI iron and me hit that well, or a quantum max iron and me hit that well. There's golfers that are of less ability than me that can hit a ping G440 better than I ever could. And it's the right mix of guys. Do they need to be in a blade? Do they need to be in something like that? For turf interaction, maybe, but for horizontal impact and vertical impact, probably not.
Right.
But as far as actually getting ball contact first and getting into the turf, sure. But I think that's why some of these irons, like you mentioned, the Strixon, like the ZXi5, is a really good iron in that where, it's got some ass to it and it's juiced, but it's not crazy. It's not like a PXG XP iron, or it's like this super jack loss and, it's just low spin dingers out there. But for the most part, P790, I don't know what it is with that sole, but a lot of guys just get the back of the ball really well with that iron. Forge Tech, the King Tech, that's a really good one, and the King Tech X, those are really good irons for us. They don't win all the time, but they're really good irons for us as far as that goes. And if you look at them, they all have a little bit of a different shape to them, heel to toe and vertically, and then the sole. So it does separate certain irons in the same category from each other. And I think more players benefit less offset, thinner sole, but still need that hollow body performance
Right.
of some of these irons.
Right.
I think you've got to have that.
So like what Callaway did, for example, like we just put out a video with Charles Howe for like Tour Validated where he's hitting all the quantum stuff. I don't know if you've watched it yet, but it's actually
I
pretty
saw it,
interesting.
didn't watch it yet. I'll be
Okay,
honest.
so he hits everything, like quantum OS, quantum max, he hits them all. And the first thing that he said, he was like, and this is after we were just kind of sitting there screwing around. He goes, what I'm surprised at? He's like, these soles on these irons are like tour soles, like the super game improvement. He's like, but most of the time we don't even look at these irons because the first thing that we'll look at is the sole of an iron. He's like, but I picked this quantum iron up and I set it down. It looks like a player's iron. He goes like, and the moment I hit it, it got through the turf. He's like, now granted, it's strong lofted and it's juiced and it's all that stuff. He's like, but there's no difference between how this gets through the turf and how my iron gets through the turf. And he's like, and I can't say that about a lot of things. And he's like, it's actually quite satisfying that the OEMs are starting to look at turf interaction in a more meaningful way, even as it relates to game improvement irons. He's like, because he's like, for a player like me, for the most part, most of these game improvement irons, I'll hit them, but I'll kind of pick them all off the ground because they just don't. They either dig too much because the leading edge is too sharp, or they're too flat on the bottom, and it's like hitting, like I said, like hitting driver off the deck, and that's Charles Howell. He's like, I felt like I was kind of like hitting everything on the bottom groove because I just couldn't get it into the turf. And he was like, look, like this, every set in this, every club that we hit for the Quantum Max line, he's like, because of this little leading edge and the leading edge relief in the front, and there's a little bit of relief in the back. He's like, I feel like I can beat this in the ground. The club's going to get to the ground fast, and I'm going to catch it on the right part of the face every time. He's like, so would I play a set of irons like this? He's like, yeah, I'd have to play like 6 through a wedge, and I'd probably, like,
Right.
he's like, but I could go out
Right.
and play these on tour, and it'd probably take me a couple rounds to get used to them, but I could play these and shoot a good score. And I was like, he's like, I've never said that about a set of irons like this ever. Like, he's like, but this is like, he's like, you want to know where technology has evolved? It's stuff like this. It's making technology, especially juiced up technology, kind of in a place where it lives in a gray area for every type of player. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
none of us tour players would ever pick up an iron, ever dream of hitting this. He's like, but after this session, we're hitting these irons. He's like, I would go out and play these. I could go shoot 63 with these things, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
feel like it was being ridiculous. He's like, I think I could totally do it. And I was like, he's like, this is impressive. So anyway, um,
Yeah, we don't do a ton of that class of iron. That's the kind of max game improvement is not our. It's just we in the middle of a fitting we get performance out of, I'd say, like a Mizuno M15 for some players. I don't know what it was before. It was a 245 maybe. It was something weird where it's like, here's this iron that's got some ass on it, but it doesn't have a lot of offset and it doesn't have the thickest sole. It's not like one of those irons where you see the back pad, in the 4 iron and the 5 iron, you're seeing the back of the cavity. But for whatever reason, like, players could get in that struggle with a fade and they could hit those things left. And I think part of it was the shaping allowed them to just have a little bit better facial awareness and actually get the club head rotated and through the turf to be able to actually hit like little pull draws or something. If they're, I mean, I'm talking about guys that I like have wiping the ball out to the right. Irons like that do it. And then every once in a while, you're going to get the JPX guy, the JPX Hot Metal or the Hot Metal Pro. Um, we don't do we do more T250 for the player that you would think needs a T350.
right.
We just do.
But
I don't
that,
know.
but,
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my style. I have no idea.
well, no, because what you just said is exactly what Titleist wants to hear. Titleist wants to put every player in the smallest
Mhm.
iron that a player can tolerate, right?
Mhm.
So they would
Yeah.
rather push a 12 handicapper into a T150 if they get it through the turf and get the ball in the air. So they're not going to take a player. They're not going to overload on the forgiveness. They're going to overload on the turf interaction and where they're hitting it on the face. So their strategy
Yeah,
is
for
like,
sure.
I want to get a player that's going to be on the razor's edge of forgiveness, but on the premium of turf interaction and strike point. Because
Yeah.
if they
That's
continuously
it.
hit it, if they continuously hit it out of the middle of the same part of the face, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. And I was like, I've never heard that before. Like,
That man, Johnny, I don't know if I've picked up on that, listening to various videos and things like that of other fitters, but I say that so often. You know how in like Foresight, you click from, all right, here's the table of all the data, here's the club data specifically for that shot or the last 5 shots, and then here's the comparison table. I'm I'm all the time going through like the compare sheet and going, look, this iron goes a couple yards farther, and this iron's got better launch and spin. This iron's doing this with its apex. But then I'll go back and I'll click to like the last 5 shots and I'll go, but this one you're hitting in the exact same spot every time. And I can't improve that. Like if you're
no,
going to now go, like, it can't get any better than this. This is what we're looking for in a fitting. If I can get you
Right.
hitting the center and you're not a guy that hits the center all the time, then there's only one way we can go from here, and that's up. So, it's like you want to say a lot of players are going to come in and they're going to be like, look, I want to get fit. I'm going to go get lessons. I'm going to do this. This is my goal. I'm like, you take this to an instructor, you're winning. Like that's a win right there. If you already have center contact just by switching your gear, then your instructor is going to have a way easier time, and you're going to get your money's worth.
But that's the thing that you just said. And somebody asked me this. I was at the PGA show a couple years ago, and some kid came up and asked me a bunch of fitting questions. He's like, "What's the most important metric that you find in a fitting?" And I said, that thing that pops up on Foresight that gives you the dots on the face. I'm like, the one club that you have, or the one set of clubs or shaft setup or whatever it is, the one that's close to the center all the time is like, if that's the most important metric, because a good fitter can take that and then start to build the flight from there if the player's hitting it out of the middle, because that's one variable that the fitter cannot control. That's the player's sense of face, the player's sense of swing weight, all that stuff marrying up. So like, okay, I have this player that's hit the 7-iron out of the guts 8 times in a row. Now he's spinning the 7-iron a little bit too much, and it launches a little this, little that. But I know that this is the setup. I know I'm close. I'm like 85% of the way there. Now it's going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then once I get there, then the player's good. And like, go ahead.
I was going to say, so often, Johnny, right there where you just said that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that's when all of a sudden I just reach into my drawer and I go, hit this ball for me. Like, hit this a couple times. And then all of a sudden, now we've got center contact and we've just changed the ball. All right, this is the ball. This is the ball or type of ball you need to play. And they're like, well, what ball is this? I'm like, this
Chrome
is this.
Tour.
Okay,
Chrome
well,
Tour
I'm going to play
X.
this one. Yeah.
It's Chrome. Yeah.
Man, brother, I hit that Chrome Tour X today, and obviously like drivers like 21, 2200 spin, and then I hit that Chrome Tour X and it was like 22, 23, and I'm like, all right, great. Let me hit my 7-iron, and my 7-iron spin on the mat went from like 58 to 68, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, my 7-iron, I can just see it on the screen just like hitting a wall, and I'm like, I could not play this ball in winds, and I want to so bad. I'm just not good enough.
But that's why Chrome Tour exists, is because they're supposed to be the same off the driver. So look at it like this, and I this isn't mine. This is from Dan Bladen, who works at Callaway, who's the guy that Jake was ranting and raving about today. He's in their R&D department for balls, and he said Chrome Tour and Chrome Tour X are basically 80% the same. And it's that 20% that separates them. And the 20% theoretically lives in, he didn't say this exactly, but this is kind of what he was getting at. Basically, from 140 ball speed on down is where they start to separate themselves. If that makes sense.
I see it.
So from like 6-iron to lobber is where they'll be different. But from driver to 6-iron, they're the same. It's when the ball speed gets below. And funny thing is, like, I noticed that because like I'll hit Chrome Tour and I'll love it on driver, love it on 3-wood, love it on 5-wood, 4 hybrid, 5-iron, 6-iron's okay, and then 7-iron is when I need to spin a 7-iron at 6,500, for example, and all of a sudden Chrome Tour will be at 5,800, and then I'll put in Chrome Tour X and it'll be at 6,500, and then I'll basically everything separates itself. But a guy like you'll spin it too much, and you'll give you Chrome Tour, and all of a sudden your 7-iron's launching at whatever the number is, 19, and spinning at 6,000, whatever the number is. But that's I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to look at golf balls. They're not totally different from each other. It's that last 15 or 20% that separates them. So you have to figure out as a player where that breaking point is in your bag to where you're going to choose a golf ball. That's why starting from the green and working back to your driver is the most important thing. So if that ball works from lob wedge to 5-iron, it's probably the right ball.
Right.
It's probably the right ball, because once you get to 4-iron, 5-wood, 3-wood driver, guys like Bryan or myself, or we can jerry rig the rest of that crap to match the ball in 2 seconds.
For
So,
sure, for sure. Well, I hit one chip shot with the Chrome Tour X over the weekend, and it was in the playoff. And I swear that ball. I'm like, oh, I'll chip with your ball because the way we do the alternate shot, like we can switch balls. We can take a drop and switch balls. Um, and you have to do that because I could not play your ball for every hole. It would not be possible for me. But man, the chip on 6 that we made versus the chip on 18, those were the same chip. And I swear that Chrome Tour X, it slowed down. It just had a little more bite to it.
Okay, we're going to talk about Battle of the Beach now.
Oh,
Okay.
God, let me take a sip.
Here. Hold on. Okay.
Dude, my head, look at it, it's peeling so bad.
Yeah,
No hat at Battle of the Beach. It was a bad choice, man.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about
Okay.
we have about 15 minutes. We got about 15 minutes left
Okay.
before the show's over.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to take control here, but can you just put in perspective like why Battle at the Beach is so important to you, Jake? Obviously me as the host and, my wife, but I'm just saying because you've been talking about Battle at the Beach, but to someone just listening, they're like, "Oh, Battle at the Beach. What the hell is this?"
Okay. So for me, it's, I'm a civilian golfer. I play 12 to 15 times a year. I don't play a lot of golf. I'm also the same kind of guy that really wants to play tour level golf. You know what I mean? Like I'm still that clown. Just
you had your moments.
I'm still a delusional, hopeful golfer. I still think my best golf is ahead of me, and maybe it is. But it's our time. So I get 3 days of golf with somebody I adore. That is the best golf partner I've ever had. And I've played in tons of member guests. I've played in a bunch of these things. I've never partnered up with somebody like I have with you. That's one. Two is it's personal to me. Like I'm responsible to you. You're responsible to me. We're responsible to the event. We want to play well. So there's that pressure of like, okay, like we got to perform, and it comes at a point in time where launch season's over. We got new clubs. The Masters is coming. Golf is starting like on the precipice of like really becoming fun for the year. And it's that one event that's like, okay, there's some pressure. There's some good players. I got my buddy. We're going to go to battle. And I know if we play, and this is the thing. I know I don't want to say play our best. If we both go do what we do, we are very, very hard to beat.
Which is wild. It's wild.
Because this is the same duo that we won our pod by 4 shots, but we both shot 83 best ball.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy. Like, I'm a 2 handicap, you're a +1 or whatever. 80, 83.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because it always happens at Battle at the Beach best ball. And I've come to the conclusion that I know why, but continue on.
Well, I know why too, because I'm not focused on, I think the first year I played with you, I think in best ball, I think I shot like 74.
Because we shot 69.
Right. And I think I shot like 73 or 74, and I think you shot like 72 or 73, right? We both played.
I don't know. I think you played. Anyway, yeah, I think you actually played better than me that day.
Okay. So, but as we've gone on, it's what are we going to shoot today in best ball? And our scores don't matter. So, like, I remember, like, for example, like Jake came in, and this is totally something I would have said my first year because I was worried about how I played. Like, he came in, he goes, I shot 75, but, my partner, it's kind of what he said to me, more or less.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, that's funny. I think Bryan and I both shot 83. and our teams are tied. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of
Yeah.
like who cares what you shot? Like and it's not a
Right.
knock on him. It's just where your head's at. It's something that you have to kind of learn as you go with Battle of the Beach. Is it doesn't matter what you shot in best ball. It's what your team shot in best ball. And you know, that's the fun thing about team golf, especially with you and
Hmm.
I, is like just take the first hole, take the right out of the gate. I like toe skank a 7 iron. I duff a chip, then I skull it across the green. I think I make a double on the first hole. Like it's a
Yeah.
mess,
Yeah.
but I'm sitting there just going. And it wasn't like, oh god, here we go. Like we're gonna struggle. This is gonna be one of those days. It was like, oh, Brian's here. We're good. Like we'll be fine. Like
No, I had a 15-footer and I two putted for par, and it's on to the next one. I didn't pay attention to what you were doing at that point,
because
you
it didn't matter
know,
because
because
it
it's
didn't
irrelevant
it didn't matter. And then nine, I get up there and fling
pipe
one
one
down the middle. Yeah,
all day.
we get up there and I think we both made bogey or par on that hole, and tough hole,
Um,
whatever.
Par. You made par, man. I didn't. I had plugged in the bunker.
That's right.
Some shit like that.
But that but
It was terrible.
that's the thing is
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. So like is that like tournament golf where you're keeping your own score? No, but in that
Right.
format, which is great for us because you and I are not professional golfers, but that is it's a major championship for us because
Yeah. It's
it means so much to us. So for everybody that's out there that doesn't know what Battle of the Beach is, Battle of the Beach is a tournament's been going on for 8 years. Brian started this basically through social media.
mm-hmm.
It was a series of events. Actually, it was Players Cup and it was Battle of the Beach was like the crown jewel event, which is kind of like your team, like you're basically a member guest format
Yeah.
or member format.
Yeah.
And it just became it's a 44 to 48 man field depending on the year. Um, and we played it at Hammock every year, and it sells out quick. Everybody wants to be a part of Battle of the Beach, and it's been basically 65 to 70% of the field's been the same every year. I'd say at least half, 50% of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially the first 4 years and the last 4 years, you could say that, right? Like the first 4 years, it was 60, 70%.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, you got, the last 2 years, we've just done 40 people max. 40 people
Right.
max is all we've done because it's good, especially it's right before daylight savings. It's tough.
Yeah.
That Saturday night round alternate shot, you normally finish in the dark. Like we almost finished in the dark this time, and we got done as early as we ever have. But nonetheless, yeah, man, it's like 25 to 30 of those guys are year after year, and
Regulars. Yeah.
people that can't make it one year, they're like the guys from Boston. There's 8 of them actually. I mean, this is like a buddy's trip for them. Last year they went to Scotland, so they weren't there last year.
Right.
But they wanted to come back. Everybody always wanted. We had some first timers, Luke Williams and Kevin Core, who they won Pod 4, I think. Yeah, they
Yeah.
won Pod
The
4.
guys all the
They're
tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's like he hit a shit drive, and he's like, all right, in the playoff, I ruined it. And I've done nothing but hit drives in my simulator for the last 24 hours to make up for it. I can't wait for next year. So yeah, so that's the vibe. Everybody wants to come back, man. And I want to. We didn't play last year, and I thought that was the right decision. I wanted to see what it was like to not play, but I remember being on like the first tee, going, "This sucks. Like
Yeah.
we need to be playing." And I had so much fucking fun with you this weekend playing. It was like I had as much fun this year as like it made up for not playing last year.
Well, the other thing also is it's like, and I think I said this to you when we were sitting in the hotel room afterwards. I said I think that's the most fun I've had on the golf course in as
Yeah,
long as I can remember. Like that,
for sure.
and I'm not just talking about the last day because that was a blast, but I'm just talking about the whole fight, like
Yeah.
the whole progression of what happened. It was like, I'll just take you through some of the highlights. And Brian, I want you to chime in on this too. Hold on, I got to stop my camera from following me around. Hold on one second. It's doing that.
Is that
It's
what
doing
is
that
that what
thing.
that is?
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah,
I gotta get it to stop doing that.
I like that.
Stop.
I
There
need
we
to
go.
get one.
Um, but like we have best ball. We suck at best ball, but we survive. Our goals, just for the folks at home, the first thing that we say to each other is like, we just need to not suck, because we've made the playoff. We played in this thing 7 times together,
Yeah.
and we've
Yeah.
made the
And
finals
made it
4 times, which is saying
Yeah,
something. We've won four. We've won our pod 4 times. Like,
for sure.
that's
Yes.
fucking ball. We're
And this
balling
year
out.
was the toughest pod of all. I don't care
Yeah,
what anybody says.
yeah, and this is and to be fair to the situation, really quick, this is me coming in usually raw dogging it with like a brand new set of clubs, no clue where the
Yeah.
ball's going. I was probably and I've played no golf since October, but I played around
Mm-hmm.
for the day before, and I actually had a set of clubs that I was comfortable with. So I came in probably, even though I had played no golf, like very little, I came in more prepared for this Battle of the Beach than I ever have. As far as like, yeah, I've made some swings and
Yeah.
done some
Uh,
stuff
I'd say you always mentally care about Battle at the Beach, but this is the first time you've physically cared, put forth more effort physically
to
to
get
play in
ready.
this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we get to so we survive, you know,
Yeah.
best
Best
ball.
ball, we shot 75. The lead, I think, was 72.
73. 73.
73. So everybody shot between like 73 and 75 in our pod. My whole thing with best ball, and this maybe helps somebody that struggles in best ball. You and I do this thing, and we messed up on a par five, and I want that shot back so bad. And I said this to you before we left. I said there's a peninsula green there on 6, and it's a hard shot. Even when you only got 190 yards in or 170 yards in, like it's a hard shot. So we were like, oh well, Bryan, you go for it. You hit your 6 iron up there. It's a perfect yardage, and then I'll just chip one up the fairway. Or if you land on, then I'll go for it. And it's like someone needs to tackle us and just go, y'all both chip it up there, because anyone, you should take an 80-yard wedge, 2 80-yard wedges, because in best ball, you don't need birdies. You just
No,
need
you gotta
pars.
you gotta you
You
gotta
just
shoot
need
par. Yeah.
to not make bogeys. And so I look back and I just go, we have this go for broke attitude. Like, you go for it, I'll play safe. And it's like, no. Let's both play good golf here
Right.
and not worry about this whole go for broke and play safe.
Right.
That's why I think we do so well with alternate shot and scramble, is because we get to play the alternate shot forces us to play the game properly.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And so, we shoot 75, and we're stoked. We're like, okay, cool. We didn't shoot 90. That was cool, because we had one year that I think I shot 86, you shot 85, and our best ball was like 83. I mean, it was a fucking
Yeah.
disaster.
And we
So
almost came back and won our
we almost
pot.
we almost won. We only lost by like two shots,
Yeah.
because we balled out in alternate shot, and we balled out in the scramble.
Yeah.
So we get to alternate shot, and in alternate shot, we were playing with the team that I had heard was like unbeatable, which is Lenny
Mm-hmm.
and Zach. So we go play with those guys, and we balled out. Like, we shot 71 alternate shot, and sort of boosted ourselves into tied for the lead with another good team,
Mm-hmm.
Todd Seabach and his partner.
Yeah,
And
Rick, what a good
then,
addition to this tournament, man. Rick's
yeah, I
awesome.
mean, two really, really good players. But alternate shot was a fun round, because that was the ultimate Bryan LaRoche and Johnny Wunder ham and egg session. Like, that's as ham and egg. So was best ball, but even more so was. And I remember Lenny told me that when we were done, he's like, "You guys are like an alternate shot. You guys are gnarly." He's like, because every single time Bryan did something bad, or you did something bad, Bryan would do something good to wipe it out. Like, you'd hit a good drive, and he'd hit this, and you'd hit a good chip, or you hit a good putt. And I mean, he's like it was never, you never did two things bad in a row. Like, it was
Which
always
is
like bad
wild.
shot, good shot, or like bad shot, good shot, good shot, bad shot. And that's how you
Yeah.
play alternate shot. So we finished that day tied for the lead. And then we get to Sunday, and I got to admit, I didn't feel great waking up Sunday morning. My attitude was good, but physically, I was like, I'm 49. I'm 36 holes is a lot for the old
Mm-hmm.
guy, and I didn't have enough like reps this year to know if like what I had done or what I had done the first couple of days was a fluke, or if like this is my golf swing would hold up, because my whole game's held up with like string, like it's all
Right.
timing. It's all timing at this point. And
Well, real quick. I hate to interrupt you right there, because the way we ended alternate shot actually plays into what you just said, which we actually finished. I hit it to like 12 feet on 17, and you somehow hit a downhiller that the ball went in around the hole and came in from the backside of the cup. And it was downhill, and the ball fell uphill for birdie. And then then we're one under, and we get to 18. It's almost dark. It's beastly. It's playing into the wind, and you make the most tired golf swing possible, and you hit the shortest little 230-yard poof drive ever. And you said it. You were like, "Bro, I got nothing. I got nothing on that." So, and then that set up. You said, we're 240 yards into the wind. It's like 230 playing 250 probably. And you're like, dude, what do you got? I'm like, I can't hit 3-wood. I hit this 2-iron. This is my 230, 240 club. And he's like, you just go do something special. Just show me something special. And I do. I roast this 2-iron kind of like off my back foot. It's like 40 feet high and just drawing towards the hole. And look, sadly, it wasn't as tight as we thought. It looked like it was like 20 feet. It ended up being more like 30, 40 feet, but we two putted for par to escape. So you got, you got 36 holes in. It's time to go, get a rest, and then come into Sunday.
yeah, so we get to the final day, and I think we were one over after 3.
Yes. Wait.
What did
Yes.
where did we start?
Yeah.
We started on 8.
We started on 8, par on 10, which is a par 5, which is not good.
We were one over after 5 because we bogeyed
5.
12.
We did not birdie 11, had a decent chance. Yeah, 12. We 3-putted. Is our biggest mistake. Okay. And I said, and this is, to me, it's being real, and it's a little bit of tournament experience. And I'm the nerviest guy ever with the putter right now. But I said to you, we're going to make one that we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And we literally did on the next hole. I hit like that 30-footer or something like that. And it was like, okay, which gets us to the par 5. This is where Bryan and Johnny and Scramble started working. Because then it gets us to the par 5. We end up, we got, let's see. I think that was a good drive by me, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because your ball was right. We took mine. Your ball was in play. We just took mine. Right. We had, 215, something like that?
We had 219, but it was into the wind. It was a little bit into the wind. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Keep going.
So I'm like, there's this hole, and I say, okay, I'm going to start at the middle of the green, but if I'm probably going to draw it, because it was whatever, it was my 5-iron or something. I'm like, I'm probably going to draw it. I usually do. But if we end up pin high or anywhere left, it doesn't matter if we're 5 yards, 10 yards, 30 yards. It's a good shot, especially in Scramble, because it sets you up. So I was never going to go for that pin, that's for sure. And I'm going to like raise my hand as a partner and a good partner. We're sitting there, and Johnny's lined up with this 4 hybrid, which I have complete confidence in this club being the right club. But you're aiming you're like, I'm just going to aim middle of the green, and, it might draw a tiny bit. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Wait, back off. If you're going for it, aim at the fucking flag, man, and let's hit a good shot. Because what's going to happen is you're going to aim at the middle, and you're just going to be where I'm at.
Right.
Johnny proceeds to hit a 4 hybrid that never leaves the pit. It was on the razor's edge of the water, and it starts drawing in to 10 feet. One of the best shots I've ever seen. It's definitely the first or second best shot I've seen you hit ever, and the one or two happened 4 holes later. So
Right.
it was like the greatest thing. I'm driving the cart, and I'm like so amped. I'm so jacked. I wasn't full speed, but I was half speed in the cart, and I jumped out of the cart. Like I had to like Flintstones like run to like make sure that I've got my footing on the ground and not fall and break my ass. But I was just like so amped by that shot, and it wasn't just about like, whoa, we've got a 10-footer for eagle. It was like I just saw my boy Johnny hit like Tiger Canadian Open from the bunker over the wall. Like to me, that was that shot. This is that part where it's like we still see ourselves as like playing tour level golf.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
I envision that was the most. Now we two putted. We almost made the eagle, but we two putted. But nonetheless, we go birdie birdie, and I'm one of those guys. The more amped I get, the better I get. I'm
Yeah.
not one of those guys that needs to calm down. Like I don't. Me
No,
calm is not good.
I'm not either. I need to go, 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 go. Like I need to, like,
I need to be. That's why I love basketball. And when a shot goes in and you get, amped, that's why I like tennis. A big point, you get amped. So that's how I operate. We proceed, I think, to go par
mm-hmm.
on 3 difficult holes to score on, good opportunities on them. And then we get to 18, and we used my drive. Well, we used my drive. I hit, I don't know what I hit, man, but it wasn't a good shot. I think I was out right or short or something on the green. I don't remember. Oh, I think I blasted it out right.
You
Oh,
hit it
that's
out
all
right.
I
You
remember.
hit it out to the right side of
Um,
the. Just right
I
of the
bailed.
green. Yeah.
And then at that point, it's like, well, that's the normal chip. You're going to have that chip. And Johnny with his Cobra 3DP X5 iron hits the most. It was pinched, it was compressed, and it never left the flag. 3 feet, tap in birdie on the hardest hole this weekend. That was playing the hardest because we had on Sunday. I wanted them to put. I had one request for the golf course: put the pin all the way back left for 18 in the shootout, and I envisioned people hitting shots in like that, but not the way you did. You went straight at it over the bunker to 3 feet. I've never seen you hit a long iron that
No.
tight. It was so that was shot number 1, and 1A or 1B was
The
the
hybrid.
approach into the. Oh my God, I'm getting pumped just thinking about those 2 shots. And that's not even like all that did was just springboard us into the front 9, which was our final 9.
Yeah. So then we go to then we go to 1. We parred 1,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
We
But
had
we're
65 yards in, and we could only get about 10, 15 feet. It was impossible to get close to
so
that pin from where we were, but
so then 2. What did we do on 2?
birdie, we chipped. Yeah. 2 is a really tough par 5. My drive, this is the first one. Like after you hit yours, I blasted mine left, but Johnny, you had a magnet ball over on the left side of this hole
Oh,
where
that's
there's
right.
water and trees.
That's when I hit 3. That's when I hit 3 wood under the tree and chased it up on the green, and we chipped it up to like 10 feet and made it. Okay.
Another partner thing. This is like, and this is the difference. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have done this stuff with you. I wouldn't have said like, "Hey, Johnny, back off. Like, let's do this shot," or like,
Right.
"Aim at that flag." Like, what are you doing this? Like, I'm making you uncomfortable. I mean, 5 years ago, that would have made one of us maybe uncomfortable, even though we were really good friends then. Same thing. You had to go under a tree, and I'm like, wait, you've got 5 wood. Like, I know you can pinch it and get down on it, but why don't you hit 3 wood? Because if you mishit it at all, one,
Still
it's
gonna
going to
get
launch
there.
lower and stay under the tree, but you're also going to get up there. And we got pin high and easy birdie.
Yeah. Then
Next hole, par 3. My shot.
Yep. You hit
my
it.
putt or your putt. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
A birdie. So that's
Birdie.
2 birdies in a row. And
Then we
that's
go,
3 of our last 4.
yeah, then we go to 4.
We go to 4. We're in the fairway. You hit a little niner to like
Yep.
20 feet. And then I hit this 15, 20-foot high apex, like chippy pitching wedge from 130 or something, or 120.
So like that.
Yeah. 3
Yeah.
feet. Just go in, hit the putt in. Next
5.
hole, dog leg left. We
Yeah.
use
My drive. That was my drive.
your drive. I hit like a 9-iron, which a 9-iron, I had like 4 memorable 9-irons this weekend. That's for sure. After a
Yeah.
good swing tip from you, by the way. You changed my iron game after best ball with a weight transfer tip. But we make like the 10-footer.
Yeah. Made
It
that
might not
birdie.
even have been 10 feet. It might have been 7 feet.
Right.
All I know is we were laughing when we got up to the ball because
So,
it was just like, yeah, this is fucking so close. It was like,
so then we get to 6, and
yeah,
we both hit good drives on 6, and then you hit I think I hit in the water, and then you hit a really good shot. Well, actually not a good shot. Like we got away with it because
yeah,
it kind of ended up didn't roll in the water. It's like you kind of hit it
it could have.
wrong and right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
then,
was like an 8-iron or something, or 7-iron that never turned over. And I usually always turn my irons over.
right.
And this thing held on. Luckily, it was soft. It stuck right there, and we're what 20 yards, 25 yards away from the pin.
Yeah, about 50 feet. Yeah, 50, 55 feet.
Okay.
And actually probably more than that. And he chipped. I hit a lackluster chip to like, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet or whatever. And then
Yeah.
Brian chipped it in. And I thought you were going to jump. I thought you were going to jump in the water. So we're at this point, and you got to remember, we're texting back and forth with the people that we're tied with at the beginning of the day. So
Todd and Rick. Those were the guys.
So this is how bad it got. So we basically started texting with them like, hey, we're 2 under. So are we. Hey, we just birdied this hole. Yeah, we just birdied this hole too. And then we get to 4, and they're like, yeah, we haven't. They were still at 3. And then after that, it was, we're at 5, we're at 6, we're at 7, we're at.
Yeah. Well,
like,
see, that's just it. That's just it. Is like we just got on that roll. It was so legendary. It's the best. It's the best we've ever played together in any way. And like last time, I think the year we won, we might have shot 66 in Scramble, and this time around we shot 64. But the chip in was unbelievable. I knew it was good as soon as I hit it. I could see that it was coming out with like roll. It was going to roll, and it rolled in just like a putt. It was awesome. I lost my mind. Biggest hug ever from you. Biggest hug. You know, the last 2 times we've played Battle at the Beach, on one of our last holes, I holed out from like 140 yards from the bunker on 16 that one year, and at that time we were in a dogfight. So
right.
like those 2 strokes really mattered. But this time, like to your point, I'm starting to feel bad texting Todd like we're 6. Hey, we just eagled, dude. I'm sorry. Like we're on a heater. I sent him our scorecard. It's like we're on a heater. We had a 15-foot putt on our last hole to shoot 29 on the front side.
We missed it by like,
that. Yeah, I wanted that. We didn't get it, but I just looked back, man, because we were 2 over on our first 9 for alternate shot, which means we went 5 over in our first 27 holes and 11 under in our final 27 holes. And we get into the shootout, and it's simple. We lost to a good friend of mine, 2 playoff holes. We all tied with bogey the first go round, and 18 was playing tough. It was difficult. It wasn't like just, oh man, you guys, what kind of tournament is this? You make bogey. Par usually has always won. There's been 1 birdie in the history, and that was year 2. But we lost on the second playoff hole. Bobby Schoen just hit an unbelievable chip to like 4 feet, something like that, from normally a boned situation. So we lose in the playoffs, but regardless of all that, and congrats to Bobby Schoen and Jason Hall on winning the Battle at the Beach. They've been, Bobby's played in Players Cup a couple times, and Jason's played in Battle at the Beach for 6 years now at this point. So it was good to see him win. It doesn't sit well with me that we lost, but brother, those 3 rounds of golf and that weekend, it's like the year we won, and that weekend is like
right there,
buddy.
Yeah.
To the point where I just want to do it again.
I want that to be my whole life. Like every week, like it's so much. I want that.
But I text you, and today. I mean, we text a lot, but I text you like today, and I'm just because I was thinking of you, and this is before you hit me up and asked me to do the pod, and I was just like, can we just figure out with your schedule? I'll come wherever. Can we just get like 2 or 3 days of normal ass like hang out and golf, not like battle at the beach pressure and like the stress of like, can we walk off the 18th hole on a 2-day golf trip with each other and not have any sense of disappointment whatsoever for a change? Because we either have the highest of highs or we just have a low, even though we had a great weekend.
Well, the other thing is really quick, and we got to wrap this show up because this has been the longest show I've ever done. But we have had like Players Cup, for example, and you and I have had matches because we're playing against each other in those, and we've had one. We had one match where you beat me at what's it called? Reunion, and then we played at in Michigan,
Forest Dunes, and you killed me.
I think I beat you there, and then the year at Stream Song, I think we tied. Did we have, or did you beat me?
Do you want me to? I played like ass. You played like ass, and I snuck in a birdie on the 18th to win one up.
That's right, and that was the year. That was the year that the match before that with Ian and me versus you and Kyle.
Yeah, Gaster, and you shot 67.
That's
hitting
right.
It kind of shitty.
Yeah, that's right.
You hold out for eagle on like a chunk. You top the 5 wood off the tee, and you chunk the wedge.
No, I scold a wedge from 115, and it went. But then I got hot with the putter. Then the last 16
that
holes,
was what it was.
With the putter. Yeah, that was an absolute just clinic.
And those are stressful rounds.
Yeah, we've played one casual round of golf together.
That's it.
At Timmy
Bullshit.
Q. And it wasn't even 18 holes, it was like 9 holes.
9 holes before Battle at the Beach.
Battle at the Beach. That was the Thursday. It was Thursday. Because that Monday was when I was that Monday was my first day working for Callaway.
Yeah, for sure.
So we played Battle at the Beach, and then the Monday that was a big weekend.
Big tradition.
Yeah, we need to play.
Arnold Palmer, Battle at the Beach, Players, Callaway shoots in there. Yeah, everything. Every year, it's like clockwork, man.
Not anymore, though. I don't have to do the Callaway thing anymore. Now it's just literally, So what I would like to do is, as we go forward, is have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll play golf.
Man, please, something. But nonetheless, we need to play normal ass golf. And you've got a crazy schedule. My schedule is married to the shop, but I own the shop, so I'll close it to go on a 2-day trip.
Well, here's the thing for everybody, and we're gonna wrap the show up. This is the great thing about golf equipment and golf in general. And this is why I love this industry. I met Bryan in 2000. I've been working for Golf WRX. This is in 2018.
2019 or 18?
2018, 2019.
19, yeah.
Through Instagram, I started, because that was back when people would post golf swings and you had a good golf swing. And I started following you. I was like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. Like, he's a club guy. Okay, this is interesting. And I remember reaching out to you because you started following me, and I found out you were a fitter at Club Champion or whatever. And, you kind of did equipment content. And I remember having you on my podcast, like randomly. And we have been friends ever since. That was 8 years ago. But both passionate about golf, both passionate about golf equipment. We both have very, very similar histories, meaning we came from entertainment into the golf industry. Like we're both, like, so my point is this is like, this is the greatest thing about the equipment industry and how small it is. But like, the cool thing about Battle of the Beach is I get to go do that, play golf with my buddy that's also a gearhead, that we also connect on equipment, that we also connect. So it's like, while we're playing good, we're also evaluating our equipment. Is this working? Is this doing this? Is it doing that's what makes the whole experience to me so beautiful. Is it's like, I have one of my closest friends. We're fighting for our lives, but at the same time, we're still evaluating. Does that club work? Is there enough bounce on that wedge? Is
Yeah.
there? It's there's nothing there to me. There's nothing like it. So
Well, and
anyway,
look at this. Look at this too, man. Like Battle at the Beach. I'll never forget. Obviously, you and Jake Morrow knew each other before Battle at the Beach 2 years ago when you guys
we're on his
when we all did the
podcast.
pod. But I'm the one. Like Jake was like, "Hey, Bryan, you want to do the podcast like in person at Battle at the Beach?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll grab Johnny and we'll just all do it together." And he's like, "You think Johnny would do that with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, why wouldn't he? Let's." So it's like, so to see this is it's weird, man. Things in this industry are like, there are people I've met that I've stayed in touch with. There's people that I love and I don't get to talk to, or I don't have a relationship with it anymore. Like Jacob Sanborn at Wedge Wizard is one of them. Jacob Sanborn is someone that I just randomly met, and then we got hooked up and played. I got him in Players Cup, and we became friends that way. And then he hit the most famous putt in Battle at the Beach history, hitting like an 80-footer for par. So it's like,
Yeah,
but things happen at this tournament, man, and people come to this tournament and they get to meet other people that are all there. If they're coming because of like me hosting it, there's a high percentage chance they're a gearhead, and so they fit in, and everybody fits in, and that's the beauty of it all. And that's, to wrap a bow on it, that's why we do it.
that's why we do it. Yep. So if you want to look up Bryan, he's at Bryan Golf on Instagram. His shop is over in Jacksonville,
Jacksonville.
adjacent Fleming.
Yep.
Fleming, a very popular fitting shop over there. But definitely a travel destination fitting if you want to go get fit by. A lot of people do fly in to see him. So um, LaRoche,
Thankfully.
as always, great show. Appreciate
Love you,
you.
Wonder. It's great stuff, man.
That's episode 324 of the Fully Equipped podcast. We went an hour and a half today because why not? This is what we do. But anyway, you guys have a good rest of the week. Jake will be back on with me next week. We missed the guy. We're excited to bring him back, but we got Bryan this week, so it was a good trade.
I'll see Jake tomorrow. It'll be good.
Yeah, we love that boy. Anyway, hasta la vista, everybody. Have a good rest of the week. We're out of here.